Good evening and welcome to Iowa News and Views. My name's Joe Balcom. I'm the host of the program. Thanks for being with us. We're really heartened by the recent election returns. I hope you are too. We have a new Democratic governor after more than 30 years of Republican control of state government, and we're looking forward and anticipating with some great expectations, some significant changes in state policies regarding families, children, environment, labor and the like, and we hope you enjoyed that election result for governor as well. We look forward to some good things. We're going to try and get Governor-elect Vilsack on the show sometime soon and hope that he'll be able to make it with his busy schedule. We're here tonight to talk about a couple different programs in eastern Iowa dealing with troubled girls in the juvenile justice system, and we have with us Kelly Vander Werff. Kelly is a juvenile court specialist with the Johnson County Juvenile Court Office, and Bernie Bordignon, who is a juvenile court officer with the Linn County Juvenile Court Office. Thanks for you both for being with us this evening to talk about your programs. We see a rise in the number of girls in trouble in our state. Kelly, what's going on with the Circle program? What does it hope to do for girls in trouble?
Well, the Circle program is a joint effort of the Johnson County Juvenile Court Office and United Action for Youth here in Iowa City. And we basically started it in, it's almost 2 years now, December of '96, because we were seeing a high number of girls, lots of girls fighting, and we just didn't have the referral resources for them other than residential treatment, and not all of them needed to go there immediately. So Circle is just a weekly discussion group. We wanted something real simple. We didn't have a lot of funding for things. We meet once a week for an hour and a half, talk about women's issues in a really safe environment so they can share their opinions and kind of figure out how other girls are dealing with the things they are.
Mm-hmm. Bernie, what's going on with your program?
The program in Cedar Rapids is a co-op between the Linn County Juvenile Court Office and Foundation 2. It differs from the Circle group in that it's only a year old, and we're very proud of that. But it is a 5-day-a-week program running from after school until 9 o'clock at night, where we provide transportation from school to the program and then to their own homes. And within that program for 12 weeks, they deal with issues having to be young women, having to deal with their culture, society's views on them, school issues, anything that has to do with how they feel about themselves and how society perceives them.
Sure. So backing up a little bit, let's talk a little bit about some of the problems that girls are facing these days in the 1990s in Iowa. Kelly, what are some of the common problems that you're seeing?
We get a lot of girls that come in for relatively minor offenses in juvenile court, such as shoplifting or possession of alcohol. But behind that, you figure out that there's just a basic lack of self-respect, and that shows itself in, heavy drug and alcohol use, lots of unprotected sex, staying out all night, hanging out with, gangster boyfriends or things like that, a really rough crowd, lots of smoking, fighting, lots and lots of fighting. So that's just that's the core problem, is a lack of self-respect. They don't enjoy being girls, and they don't see that anyone in their school values being girls, or in their town or their society at large.
Mm-hmm. Bernie, what kinds of things, seeing some of the same things, any other?
The only thing I would add to Kelly is what we've been seeing in Linn County over the last years is a large rise in assaults by girls and assaults on each other.
Wow.
And we found that to be very disturbing, and thought that we need to meet that. Nationally, you'll see the same thing. Crimes for adolescent girls has risen at a higher percentage than adolescent males.
Mm-hmm. I know in Johnson County, I'm a member of the Board of Supervisors in Johnson County, and we've seen a fairly significant increase in the number of both boys and girls in trouble for more difficult situations as well. I assume that's what we're seeing with girls in both of these areas.
Yeah, girls are still the lower percentage involved in juvenile court, but their percentages of being involved in assaults are rising higher than that for boys. And I mean, that's definitely true in Johnson and Linn County. And I mean, I'll have a period of time in the Circle program, we take 12 girls at a time, where all 12 girls are there for assault, and all 12 girls are assaulting other girls, like Bernie said. So they don't respect each other either, and that's something that helps out, having them all in a space together, sharing their stories together, and figuring out they're all kind of in the same boat.
So Bernie, do we see this as a more serious kinds of, I mean, if somebody's drinking alcohol, that's certainly a concern if they're minor, but assault's kind of seems to be another level of seriousness. Are things getting more serious as well for young girls?
I believe that assaults are a personal crime.
Right.
It's hand to hand, and they're assaults with injury, and I think it reflects how they feel about each other as young girls, but also how they feel about themselves.
Mm-hmm. What age ranges are we talking about in these programs?
12 to 17
Mm-hmm.
mostly. I don't think that junior high and high school girls, we would not feel comfortable having someone under junior high in the program because of the content of the discussions that we're having. But there's certainly, elementary age girls that come into juvenile court.
Mm-hmm.
We serve freshmen and above girls. We have a high percentage of middle school girls that probably need the same type of programming, but like Kelly, don't feel that it's healthy to mix them.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things you've discovered in either of these programs that are missing in these girls' lives in terms of some basic kinds of support at home or
it's just a basic emphasis on that they are valuable other than, as young sex objects, basically. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everything they see is that they have to dress in those little skimpy clothing and, all their 90210 shows and MTV. I mean, then just somebody pushing them towards, you can do these jobs, that you don't necessarily see other women doing, things in sciences and math and, construction and things like that, where they don't feel like they're physically able to do it. They need to be pushed into and shown all these different things that they don't see.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to believe that, they want to be parents right now. They, aspire to be secretaries, which are very important occupations, but they don't see that, there's other things available to them besides that. So just opening their eyes to new possibilities is
Mm-hmm.
really important.
Bernie, what other characteristics are indicators of us creating a successful environment for young girls?
I think that a lot of the research shows that if girls have a strong positive relationship with an adult,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's a female or a male, that they then have a better perception of themselves and as a result make better choices. I think girls operate from relationships, and that one of the problems in our judicial system is that it is based upon programming for boys. And so one of the things that we do different in the girls program is that we operate on forming relationships. So I say we look at not only what rule was broken, but what was the reason behind that, because it's usually to get some need of theirs met.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important to add that, girls programming isn't about not holding them accountable
Correct.
for their crime. And I think that makes a lot of people uncomfortable when you start talking about, a safe, nurturing environment. I mean, they think that is soft, going soft on the girls. And that's not what it's about at all. It's just an environment that they produce and are able to reflect on themselves more successfully and more thoroughly than if it's a really confrontational environment that, doesn't allow them to form relationships with other people in the program.
Mm-hmm.
So those things are, really, really important for them to be able to start thinking about themselves.
In fact, our Discoveries program, when the girls come in, they're asked to and do remove all their makeup, all their jewelry, in terms of taking away that competition between females, and they dress in more of a, not a uniform, but not a, a sweatpants, a t-shirt type outfit, so that the competition and the way they interact through their clothes and makeup is taken away.
So it basically neutralizes all those kind of affectations,
Correct.
and that makes sense. So in terms of the Circle program, it meets on a regular weekly basis in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
What kinds of things happen there?
Well, we get together and we have, speakers sometimes, and sometimes it's just, my partner Lou Blankenberg and I coming in and saying, what's on your guys' mind? Let's just check in with everybody and find out what's happening. Talk about women's issues from, HIV and STD prevention and awareness of those things. What are their choices as far as contraception, and how do you use it? Really looking at it and feeling it. Figuring out where do they get these and how much do they have to pay for it and who do they ask for it. Body image, where do those messages come from? How do you deal with, boyfriends and choosing relationships and things like that, and how to just be healthy people. And, a lot of them are not feeling real great about themselves, but they don't understand the way their behavior is affecting that or how that feeling affects their behavior.
Bernie, in terms of your daily kinds of programmatic things, what goes on in your program?
We do a lot of ritual. We believe that girls like consistent ritual things. So after they come in, one of the first things they do is they journal their life story so that we know how to provide treatment from there. And what we've discovered is that a lot of their life stories revolve around loss of relationships, and so a lot of grief resolution goes on. They do meal preparation, they do fun activities, all within the treatment aspect. And then a lot of what Kelly's saying, we incorporate.
Sure.
And they do physical exercise and
Correct.
things there too.
Yeah, we have a physical component. They also do a lot of community service. And they don't have to come on Saturdays, but there's a group of them that comes and delivers Meals on Wheels because they've formed an attachment to these elderly people.
Great. So it sounds almost like recreating a bit of family environment where there's good support and freedom to say what you think and feel.
And I think, to emphasize what Kelly says, freedom to say what you think and express it, but also feedback on how that's appropriate or inappropriate within society.
What are some of the discussion comments or topics? You talked about a couple.
Right. Well, the girls really respond well to really open and frank discussion. So we don't worry so much about, the textbook appropriateness of how we're discussing this with them. So I think it's pretty new to them as far as how they can say things. Just any way they feel comfortable expressing it is okay. And so if we're talking about how to have a good relationship with a boy, that's okay. We can talk about that really frankly, because there's a lot of things that they don't know, and there's a lot of myths that they're operating on that I would have thought would have been gone long ago, but they're still operating on those myths. And so it's really good. Let them say whatever they want, because that way we can find out what they really think, and we can just kind of clear some things up for them.
An additional component of your program is a mentoring program.
Right.
What's involved there?
Well, that is brand new. We were just awarded some grant money from the Iowa Women's Foundation, and so we just had our awards luncheon this past Friday, and we're going to be initially starting with a steering committee of women from the community. And then we're going to be working on a recruitment campaign for adult women in the community to be mentors, and then have a training. And we're partnered up with Big Brothers Big Sisters also, since they're the experts on the mentoring. And then doing a special training for how do you mentor teenage girls, because that scares a lot of women. So basically we want adult women from every part of the community. Find a girl, match them up with them. Just take her, walking your dog, just having a nice conversation, just something different from what she sees on a day-to-day basis, and then start to say, these things are possible, and this is possible, and and then trying things together and taking risks and things like that.
Sounds like very successful potential there.
Yeah, I think so, and it's really exciting, and I'm hoping that it's extremely successful, and we can start to, have mentoring, for maybe some boys in juvenile court also down the road.
Good.
I wish them great success with that. That was to be a component of our program, and the Cedar Rapids community didn't respond to that. So we've gone to taking the girls in groups to meet with adult women in terms of their occupations and their life styles and the things that they do. So I hope you guys get it done.
It has been. I've asked informally for mentors in the past and haven't gotten a response, and so we did ask for money specifically to get the recruitment campaign going, because I know that it takes a little bit to get people. I mean, it's really intimidating because you hear all these news things about these delinquent girls, and it is scary to people, and they don't think that they have the right qualifications for it.
Sure.
So hopefully we can get that word out a little bit more accurately.
Good. We'll tell people in a little bit how to get in touch with both of you. We're at midpoint in the show. You're watching Iowa News and Views, and this is a public access program, but we'd like to tell you a little bit more about what we're up to here, and we're going to do that right now. We have a brief presentation to put up on the screen. Iowa News and Views, we are a public access television program that goes statewide weekly to 15 different communities. And we have, what you see there is our schedule card. It tells when and where we play every week. at our regular time slots, which is good for you so you know when to tune in and set that VCR. We've done about 45 shows plus on environment, every topic you can think of, virtually. Urban sprawl, we've had elected officials on talking about issues around the state. And while that says political content censored by TCI of Central Iowa, this program is uncensored. We decide who appears, we decide what topics are covered, and when it appears. And we have about 1 million viewers. That is, if everybody in every household of the 375,000 households that get this show we're watching, we hope you'll tune in and tell your friends to tune in next time, because we have a statewide show, we got regular time slots, lots of different content. We decide who's on, lots of viewers, more every day. TV worth watching, Iowa News and Views. Tell your friends about us, set your VCR. We're on same time every week. If you're seeing this in Des Moines, hey Des Moines. We're talking about programs for troubled girls in Iowa, eastern Iowa in particular, and we have with us Kelly Vander Werff, who is a juvenile court specialist with the Johnson County Juvenile Court Office, and Bernie Bordignon, I'll get it, Juvenile Court Officer with Linn County Juvenile Court Office. Thank you both for being here. We've talked a little bit about your programs. One of the issues that comes to my mind is how are these programs being paid for? There's a lot of money involved, and where's the source of funding? Kelly, first you.
Well, that's really the biggest issue with girls programming, and we didn't feel like we could wait for the funding to come around for the Circle program. So we decided, what can we do with no funding whatsoever? So we decided this weekly discussion group was the way to do that. So, my partner in the program, Lou Blankenberg, and I, that's part of our salary. So there's some in-kind money like that. But as far as, food that we get every week, we get donated. We've gotten a few people to donate some money that have been, really generous donations to help us with special things that we want to pay for. But basically, there's no funding to support this. The mentoring program, you have to get grant money, and you have to renew it every single year. So it's all just really, you have to work really hard to make things work.
Mm-hmm. Bernie, how about your program?
Our program is a day treatment program, so it's funded through state treatment dollars, which go through a managed health care system, and then the state's reimbursed by the federal government. What that means is that it takes a whole lot of paper and documentation to get the hours needed to provide for the girls in the programming, and then that's renewable every 6 months. It has to be looked at.
So you guys are struggling for money, it sounds like, just constantly trying to raise money. What needs to happen to put more resources into programs for girls?
Well, I think it's starting. I mean, the trend is positive. People are starting to do more shows like this. There's more research being done. So I think those are the things that need to continue. Our statistics with our juvenile court services are starting to improve as far as looking the difference between girls and boys, and where they're getting into treatment, and the numbers and things like that. So that kind of thing, if we can use that, and then success of programs like this, start to get the word out that it does make a difference, with girls programming, because there's a lot of people that are skeptical about it yet. So if we can prove that it's really, it matters how you do things.
I think also our society in general has to place a value on our adolescent girls. And I would say I feel pretty good about Iowa right now. I've attended national conferences in Florida and Minneapolis on female offenders, and couldn't find a program in the nation that did actual day-to-day girls' day treatment outside of school. So I feel like we're pretty progressive and that we're on the way.
Sure. Well, your program picks girls up from school, brings them to the program.
Correct.
And then takes them home.
Correct.
That's pretty involved, seems to me.
Exactly.
Kind of expensive, maybe, too. I mean, there's some resources there. How many girls are participating?
8 girls participate in the extensive 12-week program. Then they go into a 16-week aftercare program where they come once to twice a week. Talk about expense, though. If we were to place any of those girls, the cost to Iowa would be approximately $120 a day. The day treatment program, I think, averages out to about $40 a day.
Sure. So these are both really low-cost, community-based programs that keep girls in the community with their families in some supportive environment there. Just in the last month or so, we had about we're talking about the prison issue is obviously a costly thing. We're on track to build a couple more prisons in Iowa at the rate we're going in the next 10 years. But a couple hundred women just got taken to Virginia because of overcrowding in prisons. In Iowa, it seems to me there's definitely a role for keeping these young girls out of trouble so they can avoid potential prison later on. Is that what these programs are about?
Yeah, it's paying attention to the issues that they have as early as possible and not waiting until it just, snowballs for them and everything, because everything's so connected with them to the way they feel about themselves and how valuable they feel like they are. And it just, it can go really horribly wrong very quickly. So if you can just get in there, slow the process down, pay attention to the family and to this young girl as soon as possible, I think it really makes a difference.
So does the court require the girls that participate in these programs to be in these programs? Is that so it's not really a choice for them?
Yeah, not every girl in the Circle program is court ordered.
Okay.
In fact, none of them are technically court ordered. It will be a term of their probation. So some of them are on formal probation, some of them have been to court, and some of them just have, one condition probation to attend the program and then be dismissed from probation if they complete that successfully.
Our girls are the same. They're some court ordered, some are just informal, and it's a condition of their probation in order to get dismissed.
So initially, girl shows up, or you pick her up. What's kind of reception? I mean, I suppose those girls don't really want to be at these programs initially. Do they warm up to it?
Our girls write a newsletter with their program, and one of the girls just wrote how mad she was at her juvenile court officer that she had to come to this program and she just wasn't going to do it. And after approximately 3 weeks was thanking,
Is that right?
feeling real good about herself and what the program offered.
Yeah, we have the same response. Mostly, they come very begrudgingly in the first day. They sit there, not a lot of interaction. You can definitely feel they feel, angry that they have to be there. But it's not, the next week they're happier, and 4 weeks down the road they're, really getting into it. At their 12th week, they're like, well, can I come back whenever I want to? And we have a lot of girls that continue to come. As long as we have the space, they're fully welcome to keep coming to the program.
So I suppose they would get some support from the girls they meet there after a few weeks of, we've been here, it's not so bad.
There's some concern that, what do? You have a bunch of delinquent girls in the same room. Are they going to network negatively and start doing, more bad things?
Sure.
But it's been just the opposite of that. They get to know each other, the stereotypes that they have of each other out at school and how much they hate each other there. It all breaks down and they start to figure out who the people really are that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and they respect each other more.
So do they know each other? Some girls know each other when they show up at the program. They see some
Or they
friends.
think they know each other because they were both involved with the same boy
I
or
see.
same man, and their perception is based upon that.
I see.
So once they do get to know each other, they sometimes feel real different about it.
These sound like very productive programs. What's the future of either of these programs? I suppose it's involved with continuing to maintain a funding source.
I don't think the need will disappear. The question will be whether the funding disappears or not. With the move in Iowa towards community-based treatment, these programs should be programs that are able to be maintained.
Yeah, we'd like to develop something closer to Discoveries in Johnson County also. That would be the goal, and just to keep, adding on, right now we have group contact with the girls. If we can get the mentoring program successful, then we have that individual bonding with them and developing them that way. That would just be, hopefully we'd like to meet more often, and the girls have even suggested, maybe we should meet more times a week, maybe we should meet for longer, something like that. Developing more times for community service, opportunities for them to get out in the community as much as we can to develop that into more contact and more support for them.
So the girls that find their way to these programs, have they just gotten in trouble? It sounds like they're early into some bad behaviors as opposed to more hardened kind of.
Not necessarily. We've used our program to shorten residential treatment stays for girls and bringing them back, but all of the girls have been charged with some criminal act. That's
Okay,
brought them
so
to our attention.
they're in some serious trouble at that point. It's just not some little minor incident, perhaps.
Right. There's a mix of both in Circle, but there's certainly some girls who have been involved in a lot of different things, and let's get them involved in the Circle program while they go to the day treatment program also, to get some girls programming involved in their regular schedule. But yeah, it's everything from assault causing injury to fifth degree theft, sometimes robbery. So it's a little bit of both.
So how can people get involved if members of the community want to get involved with either of these programs, either the mentoring program with Circle or Discoveries?
Get a hold of me at the juvenile court office, and just ask for Kelly, and we can set you up in a variety of different ways, whether it's if you want to get involved with just getting a monetary donation sent in, or if you actually want to personally get involved, I'm the person to contact. So.
Right.
In Cedar Rapids for Discoveries, I'd tell you to contact me, Bernie, at the Juvenile Court Office, or Sandy Tellenhusen at Foundation 2, which is 366-8797.
Okay, we're going to give some contact information in a moment for both of you, so people can get in touch. Any final comments?
Just that it's really it's been successful. Even in the limited amount that we have contact with the girls in Johnson County, it's been really successful, and I've seen less recidivism with these girls than you do on the whole with programming. So it's been a better success rate with just this 1 day a week program than you see in general.
Good.
And we're feeling good in Linn County. Our girls, after they're through the program, we see them stopping back on a regular basis because of the relationships we formed in order to work out things, and that's what we wanted them to do.
Good. They sound like two very successful community-based programs trying to create a positive future for girls in trouble. That's terrific. Keep up the good work. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You've been watching Iowa News and Views. My name's Joe Balcom, the host of the program. I feel like Mr. Rogers tonight in my Mr. Rogers sweater, but I'm not. Thanks for joining us. I'd like to thank the crew for doing the heavy lifting as usual. Thank Rusty Martin for that nice commercial telling you a little bit about the program and why we're doing it. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Remember, this is just a public access TV program produced at the Iowa City Public Access Studios in Iowa City, Iowa. What's important is what you are doing each and every day in your community to make it a better place to live. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next week, same time. Good night.